Hey there, colleague. How in the world are you doing today? Habituate what you can, motivate what you can. That's what I want to talk about today. This is a critical principle for working smarter in our lives as teachers, professionals, people, and as teachers, like working with students. It's critical for both of those realms. So let me just give you a couple of examples. Basic idea here is that if I can make something a habit for someone or for myself, then that habit will be conducted automatically and it won't need to come from a place of self-motivation. I won't have to motivate myself to do something that's a habit because I just do it on autopilot. So for example, with my classroom, I don't want to motivate my students to begin their warm-up when the bell rings. I want to spend zero energy myself, and I want them to spend zero energy getting into what we're learning today and starting with whatever writing or reading or speaking exercise I've got on the board for them. So as an early career teacher, I might have tried to provide some kind of incentive for students to start the warm-up without me talking to them. Just letting the bell be their boss is what we say. Why would I have to tell you to start the warm-up when there's a bell that already does that? It's silly for you to have an adult to tell you to start doing what you know that you need to do, and it's silly for me to do it. So I just reinforce that procedure. When you come in, you get settled, you look at the board, and you begin to follow those instructions at the very latest by the time that the bell rings. And this results in a super peaceful environment compared to the one that I used to have where I'm constantly telling students, hey, get after it, go, 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 go. So what I'm leveraging here isn't, and over time this procedure just becomes a habit and no one has to try to get themselves to do what we've been doing all along. Another example would be the skull and crossbones list. This is a list of very basic writing conventions that I ask all of my students to double check for before they submit anything that's to be read by myself or a peer. So we're talking super basic, capitalizing first letter of a sentence, capitalizing proper nouns, punctuation at the end of a sentence. Very, very basic stuff that I know that my students have learned about in early elementary school and have had reinforced for them ever since. The problem is I get these pieces of writing where students lowercase Europe or they don't put a period at the end of a sentence, and it's just not necessary. So don't try to motivate them to do that. I don't try to harangue them. I don't give a bunch of speeches. I just say, when I see these basic errors, we'll call them skull and crossbones errors, I'm just going to draw a little skull and crossbone, one of these guys, these little guys, and give it back to you. And until I receive it back, you won't receive any type of grade or feedback on the work. This is non-emotional, non-judgmental. We all make silly mistakes, and my students know that I'm first and foremost among those who do make the silly mistakes. So those are two examples of habituate what you can, motivate what you can't for our work with students. But what about our work with ourselves? Well, for me as a teacher, one thing that I don't try to motivate myself to do is plan lessons. I just, as soon as I'm done teaching a lesson, will jot down a couple of notes about what I want to do tomorrow in that class. As soon as the bell rings, that's my signal to open up to a fresh page, jot down some notes for second hour, fifth hour, whatever. And this way, tomorrow when I come to my lesson planning, it'll be much simpler to remember where I want to pick up. One final example from my life is that in addition to being a teacher, I'm also a writer, and this means that I have to produce a certain amount of words every day if I'm going to get anywhere. And so this semester I've got first hour prep, and that means I could just come right in, take that nice time in the morning and get some writing accomplished first thing out of the gate. Or I could leisurely drink my cup of coffee and read some articles that are interesting to me and check Twitter and go to YouTube and basically waste a bunch of time. So for a while this year, I was trying to motivate myself to do the work of writing, but it was just like this constant battle between writing and doing all this other fun stuff that's a lot easier than writing. And so what I finally said is, listen, dude, as soon as you walk into work each morning, you put your stuff down and you start to write. You don't check anything else, you just write. And when you're done, then you can go check your other stuff. As this write first habit has set in, I find it way easier to be motivated to do the work of writing because I just don't even realize that I'm started by the time that I'm started, because it's just a habit to start. It's a lot of starteds in one sentence. So hey, yes, we should care about motivation for our students, for ourselves, but also we should try to do the things that get past motivation, don't even require it. Those things are habits. If you like videos like this, click subscribe. It helps my channel. And really, it just is encouraging for me, and it'll give you curated videos that are probably more relevant to you than, you know, those ones where they build cabins in the rainforest. I mean, I like those videos a lot, but this is probably going to help you more. You know, I don't know. The cabin videos are pretty helpful.